We had somebody in our group draw up a form for the bussers, right? A to-do list, a not to-do list. It was very specific, very strong. I'm very happy with it. It was also translated into Turkish, Romanian, and Spanish. So I'm going to read you the English version. This is one of the, I'll say, 35 things on here. Restaurant Punk, what's up? Restaurant Punk.
Restaurant Punk.
Restaurant Punk.
Restaurant Punk.
Restaurant Punk.
Restaurant Punk.
Matt Smith in the house.
Oh, shit. Matt Smith.
Woo.
Look at this guy.
I'm Yianni.
I'm Liz.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Hi, Guy.
Hello, Guy.
Hey. How do you trim your beard?
No
What do you
clippers.
do? Like, are you using the scissors and kind of going around and getting the strays, or are you just using like the clippers? What do you do?
Razor, clipper.
Razor?
That's a lot.
Where do you go with the razor?
Razor.
Oh, just like this little stuff here? Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm just checking.
And then straight razors everywhere else.
Straight.
Ever so carefully. Ever so carefully.
Oh, yes. I like to live on the edge.
Yes.
Matt, you got something you want to talk about? I don't care. I got something. Listen, I had to write it down because it's a little bit of a longer form question. There is a question here,
Okay.
and you'll both understand it. But we had somebody in our group draw up a form for the bussers, right? A to-do list, a not to-do list. It was very specific, very strong. I'm very happy with it. It was also translated into Turkish, Romanian, and Spanish. So I'm going to read you the English version. This is one of the, I'll say, 35 things on here, okay? Instructions. All right, so things you are not supposed to be doing. I'm just going to name one, and that's going to be our topic. No refilling of water glasses for customers. No getting sodas, coffees, teas, or juices for customers. If a customer asks you for something, please let their server know. It is the server's job to have control of their own tables and tend to customers' needs. So,
Can I answer that?
would you like to answer that? Because you just touched me on the shoulder and said, can I answer that?
Ooh, yeah.
How do you feel about that? I don't know if all three of us are going to be in agreement on this.
I believe in 90% of that.
Well, what's the 10% that you don't believe in?
So for me, for a busser, they should say three things to the customers. That is their only communication with the customer. It is, pardon my reach, may I take this out of your way? And I will relay that to your server. And I do believe that the server should be having all of that connection with their table, except for maybe waters. That's about it. If a busser can refill waters, that is fine. Again, pardon my reach.
Okay.
Okay, this is my opinion. I don't know the person who wrote this, but you know I love Liz and I love clarity.
Liz does love
I
this.
appreciate
Yes.
that it's made clear, because a lot of times it's not made clear. And then, you go into restaurants and servers sit there and they assume that they can just take advantage of their busser and tell them pretty much to do everything.
Fast and loose.
So I agree mostly. The only issue I have is I like that so it's clear. So they're not being taken advantage of. But there are going to come times where the server could possibly get in the weeds and maybe they can't do it. And it does help if the busser occasionally jumps in and helps them refill the water,
Okay.
But as a customer, as a guest, do you want to hear that I will relay that? Like, because we all know, we've been to restaurants, and when the person you ask, it doesn't matter if it's another server, it doesn't matter if it's a busser, and we ask for something and they say, I'll let your server know, or even I'll relay that to your server. Mm-hmm. Don't you automatically think like,
there's a chance
they're never going to tell them. So I wouldn't want to hear that as a guest.
So let's get specific, because my brother actually brought up a good point. My brother Peter brought up a good point. When we talk about using that list and talking about Cara Restaurant Group, he made a great point, I thought, to where is there a difference between George's Place for breakfast and vintage during the evening? And I thought that was a great point. So we're trying to streamline the process through all the restaurants. So for this episode in particular, I'm going to say for dinner service, right?
Okay.
Now, is there a difference between a busser refilling waters at breakfast and refilling waters at dinner? I think what that list is trying to say is you're not a busser, you're a server assistant. And I think there's a fine line between a busser and a server assistant. I personally do not want the bussers to pre-bus the tables for the server. I hate that. I feel like the server should do that.
I agree.
And, in your experience, Matt, working more on a fine dining level, was your station 3 tables, 4 tables, 5 tables? Were you oversat? Were you ever overwhelmed or underwhelmed? Where do you find that balance? I feel comfortable in fine dining with a 4-table station. And I feel like I should never have to go into the kitchen, because if I'm a restaurant owner, I want my server talking to the table.
Yes.
Sometimes we think of a busser, and we do have foreigners that are here for the summer that are bussers. And I can tell you, over the course of 20 years, I've seen the busser go to the table and go, "You finished with this?" And I'm like, maybe a little.
Yeah.
That's where I think it gets. I don't want them. It's not a slap in the face to anybody. It's not saying. It's just you want to give your guests the best experience, and I feel like the server will be giving them that experience, the best experience.
Would you be open to the server going to the table pre-bussing, and you can't take, it's a table 6, you can't take it all at once. Would you be okay with the server passing, the busser being standing there, their server assistant, whatever, standing there and handing some off to them? So
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
Because that's what I would
I
do.
push for this because
Yes.
I'll see servers at a table. You've seen this, Matt Smith, too. Liz, you've seen this too. A server will be pre-bussing a table, and the busser will be in the back watching them. And I like to gently take them by the shoulder and say, "Follow me." And I stand them right behind, and then it clicks for them. Yes, go. I don't want the server taking them back. I want the server assistant to take.
Yeah.
And
meet
go.
them 90% of the
Yes.
way.
Support.
Grab
Support.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Support. So I don't know. I feel like, where do we go with that? Do we want the server assistant to, I don't know, refill waters? Let's say a guest asks the server assistant for more coffee. Are we going to get picky now and say the busser is not allowed? Should they find the server and say table 3 would like some more coffee?
I
Yes.
don't know.
Yes.
Grab the server.
Yeah, you should grab the server, but I think
That's the server's responsibility.
it is.
To just
But there are going to be moments you've served. There are going to be moments where,
100%,
let's
yeah.
say you're in the weeds, or all your food, whatever comes out once, or something happens that you just cannot get to them right away. For me personally, I'd rather see that the guest gets what they need as soon as possible. If for some reason, for the most part, that never happens. I can usually get to it. But also, I'm someone who anticipates it too before they need it.
Anticipation.
You cover
I
your
think
bases
anticipation
and-
is key.
Yeah, but you don't ever want to hear any employee as a guest say, "I'm going to find someone else." Essentially, I'm going to find someone else to do it because I am not allowed to do it. Let me tell you a story about how someone told me they're not allowed to do something. And I want to punch them in the face. I'm not going to name any names, and you might be watching this, and I'm sure you'll be upset, but it happened. I'm not going to say the position,
You're not.
but I
gonna
had
say-
someone
okay.
work with me, and they were supposed to be a support staff. And they were supposed to do something very specific, and they had the tendency to float around other parts of the venue instead of be where they're supposed to be. And as a group, me and my coworkers, we had it. And we spoke to management. I'm like, this cannot keep happening. Like, when we need something, that person needs to be there. They're support staff. So management took the person aside and said, "You are not allowed to leave your post, basically. You need to make sure you're there, and these are things you need to do." Made it very clear. This person's been doing this job for a long time, and for whatever reason cannot seem to really figure it out. So one night I ran out of something and I asked him for it, and he said, "I'm not allowed to leave my post," basically is what he said. I nearly lost my
Little
shit.
petty, little petty.
So
Nearly lost your shit.
I had to run across, and there's a big venue, across the other venue to stock it myself, although it's his job. So my point is, okay, fine. If you want to play this game that you were told you're not allowed to leave your post, then you need to stock it better at the beginning of the night. Because I shouldn't have to leave my post and go another part of the venue just to stock it. And I was
Yeah.
pissed beyond belief. I don't remember what the point was, but there was one.
That's okay. Just let it out, Liz. You're doing great.
Yeah, I just
keep going.
maybe
You just want to punch him in the face.
Well, yeah, because it's the whole thing of, I don't want to hear that your interpretation of, oh, cool, like it's so black and white, I'm not supposed to do this, because sometimes there are great situations where you need to break
Right.
the rule
Uh-huh.
and do it.
You're a big fan of structured, defined rules,
Yeah.
but teamwork overall.
Yes, at the end of the day, you just have to help out. My issue, and I understand the need for that list, is when the servers abuse and they don't do their job and they're passing on to someone else. I get that.
I don't think we have that problem. We're having the problem of not enough experience. So when you're bringing in somebody new, especially, a foreigner who's here for the summer, I don't think you can expect them right off the bat to just be a professional busser and to anticipate exactly
Yes.
what to do. So I think that's why we're talking about streamlining some of the things across the restaurants, because just certain things that are just can be used, whether it's in George's Place, whether it's in Vintage, whether it's at Brine, but everybody's doing the same thing. So when you have a bunch of different owners that are visiting other restaurants within the group,
Yeah.
they can notice these things. So that's why I find it attractive. So, reading that off, it says, do not refill water glasses. Is that something that we extend to the whole group, to all the restaurants? Because it's one thing, but you might have a restaurant owner within the group that disagrees with that and just says, don't worry about it. The bussers can refill. Because the bussers at, let's say, Vintage, as opposed to maybe some of the bussers at Brine, are experienced, look better, are more professional, anticipate, right?
Yeah, anticipate the server's needs to give amazing service overall. Yeah, absolutely.
I think so.
But there's training. Those little
Yes.
things are just training.
Well, how can you tell the difference between a busser and a server? Are they dressed differently? Or do you just automatically assume? If you saw me and then you saw, I don't know, George. Let's use George, our George on Restaurant Punk. George, what's his nickname? Jazz Hands?
Jazzy.
Yes.
Let's say you saw George and I on the floor dressed the same. Who would you assume is the server and who would you assume is the busser?
You really want to know?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I'm in a restaurant and I see employees, let's say they all look the same,
Uh-huh.
I would
So you're judging.
I would totally judge them. Be like, okay, the person with the most spaced out look is the busser.
And then they come up to your table and go, welcome.
Oh my God,
I'm your
no,
server,
you're
yes.
my server.
Like, how can you tell? How can you tell? By the way they're dressed?
Their
by the way
body
they carry
language.
themselves? Their
For me
pedigree?
personally,
It's
body
the way they
language.
carry themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just have a little bit of personality. But then if we see a busser with personality who just does well overall, I make them a server.
Right, exactly.
It's like,
yeah.
you have the potential. You have the personality. Let's go for it.
So Matt and Liz are stereotyping.
Yes.
I don't do that.
Lies. Lies.
You sit on a throne of lies.
Yes.
Smell like beef and cheese.
I think why specifically that list is good for the Cara restaurant group, because a lot of your servers bounce around from different restaurants. So there needs to be consistency as far as what the expectations are.
Right, but how do we streamline that across all the restaurants if not everybody's in agreement? Let's just stick with no bussers
think?
or server assistants are to refill tables' waters. You don't think there's going to be blowback on that? I can already feel a blowback.
Yeah.
I can feel Nico's eyes just
I worked
piercing
at a
me right
place
now.
last summer that server assistants, they specifically were supposed to fill the water, not the servers.
Well, I think just distinguishing between server assistant and busser, we don't use the word server assistant anywhere in Cara Restaurant Group. We use the word busser, correct?
Yes.
Food runner. We don't use server assistant.
They
And
want to identify as a server
Yes.
assistant, sure.
That's fine.
you like that better?
I don't care. As
You don't
long
care?
as they do the same
Right.
job.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
What is your opinion on that? Specifically filling the water. Whose job is it?
Just like you like, I think everybody likes systems, but putting them in place is more difficult, like execution. So I'm just looking for like 10 things that we've already all agreed in the group at the restaurants that we will keep our thumbs off of the plates when we're delivering food, correct?
Yes.
So that's one thing we can all agree on. So in my mind, that's a win because everybody agrees with that. So now Matt Smith can walk into George's Place West and he'll look and see if the thumbs are on the plate. And he can say thumbs off the plate to that server, knowing that all the owners are in agreement, right?
Yes.
So now no bussers refilling water glass at the table. Not everybody's in agreement. So that's why
But you never
that's why I brought
answered.
that up.
What do you feel?
No, I prefer not to. Yeah, right now I would say no. I agree with that 100%. No. Does that mean when a table has no water glasses and the server assistant is walking by and they say, "Excuse me, may I have more water, please?" Right away. That means they have to go find the server because they know they're not allowed to do it. It'll be hard at first, but once it becomes streamlined,
Yes.
Yes.
that is what we'll do. But everybody, I think everybody has to be in agreement on that.
Yes, I agree because my
Right.
personal preference, I value efficiency. So if it means that customer gets the water and it doesn't detract from the server and service, go for it. But I agree that everybody has to be doing the same thing because once you set that standard, it doesn't detract from the culture. Like your guy being petty, I'm not allowed to leave my stand because this is my job description and you pissed me off.
And that's why I love Cara Restaurant Group. We all have different opinions. We're going to find our way. If we all can't agree on the no refilling of water glasses, we leave it as is and we'll move to the next one. So I know Matt Smith and Nico feel the same. we're not going to fight it unless it's like 8-2 or 9-1.
Yeah, and this is,
but
see,
it
this is
makes
the
a difference. In the long run.
How about you and Nico meet me outside? Meet me outside. You want to go?
Let's go.
Out of the blue shirt? Yeah, I think I could take you. But then Nico would come from behind and just drop a hammer on me.
Take me down.
All right, let's get the out of here.
All right.
No refilling of water glasses is out. It's never going to happen at Carrot Restaurant Group. To be continued. I thought I had that one. All right, thumbs off plates.
No.
Thumbs
that's
off
it.
plates.
I'm Yanni.
That's Liz.
Smith.
That's Liz.
Love you, Restaurant Punk out.
Out. Bye.
Clap again.
No, no. Okay. Just fucking crazy. You know what? You only clap once. Wait. Don't start this yet. No.
3.
Because the ghost? What? Is at an angle. But it's not far. It's not close enough to my mouth. Peace. All right. Yes. Ready. Okay. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right, go.
What you got? What do you want?